and welcome back to my YouTube channel called The Student Midwife. Firstly, I want to say a really big sorry because I know I said I would be uploading every week, but unfortunately due to having access course deadlines and at the same time having technical difficulties, that wasn't possible. But now I'm back and hoping to continue doing weekly videos for you all, and today I'm going to talk about work experience. Everybody knows that midwifery is incredibly competitive, so having things that set you apart and having gained work experience or experience that you can relate to the qualities and attributes of a midwife are all great things to put alongside your results, because it's okay to have great results, but if you haven't shown that you have the attributes to make a great midwife, then that can be a disadvantage really. So a lot of people think that it's really difficult to find work experience that's related to midwifery, and in a sense that is quite true, but also it's really important to remember that you can get work experience that isn't necessarily related to midwifery but has excellent transferable skills which you can talk about and really sort of can relate it back to the role of a midwife. But before I go any more into that, it is important to say that some universities are quite specific about the kind or the amount of work experience that applicants have. So some might say they do want midwifery related or clinical related work experience, or a certain period of time that person has undertaken that specific work experience. So I'd highly recommend speaking to the admissions tutors at the universities you're thinking of applying to and seeing what they sort of expect from applicants in terms of work experience, really, just so you have an idea of what track to go down. So firstly, looking at midwifery related work experience, there's a number of ways you can get this. The first is probably a really good source of getting work experience and experience it with the role of a midwife, but it is quite difficult to get, and in some areas it's nearly impossible, but I'd highly recommend it. So the first one is getting work experience in a hospital, and usually this will be either on an antenatal or postnatal ward. So if you look at the hospitals in your area and see if you can contact somebody from either the voluntary services or work experience departments, you'll usually get a contact, and if you just talk to them about what volunteering or work experience opportunities they have and how you can apply, that's always a good place to start. I personally had to fill out a volunteering form. They didn't really do work experience as such, just volunteering and helping out, and that was quite a long process, but I was really lucky to gain that experience, and I managed to get onto a antenatal and postnatal ward, so that was really good and I learnt a lot from that. But you're not always guaranteed to say be put on an antenatal or postnatal ward, because it is such an in-demand area for work experience. So even if, say, you got put on a different ward which was unrelated to midwifery per se, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because you can still get really good transferable skills, interpersonal skills, and just sort of understanding what it's like to work in a clinical environment or what it's like in a caring environment even. So I definitely recommend applying to do volunteering or work experience at a hospital if you can, but like I said, that is quite difficult sometimes. Another slightly easier way of getting work experience is through antenatal classes. So you can actually find these online, so if you just look up on the internet antenatal classes in your area, if you contact the people who are doing those antenatal classes and see if they have any potential for people who want to volunteer or just observe, that might be a possibility. I mean, I didn't manage to go to any antenatal classes where I live, but one of the midwives who actually did some antenatal classes was really helpful, and she told me about a study day at one of my local universities, which otherwise I'd never have found out about. So you never know, even if you don't manage to get work experience from it, it still might open up other opportunities for you. And then there are other programs such as Gap Medics, who have placements abroad where you get to shadow a midwife. Now these can be quite expensive, and in places such as Tanzania where I went, there are some ethical issues. Because it's such a poor country, it sometimes lacks things like consent, and there are issues there, but I would highly recommend going along to one if you can, because I think the amount of knowledge you gain from it is brilliant, but always make sure you're cautious and wary and make sure that women are happy for you to be there. But there are also placements in places like Poland and Croatia, and things like ethical issues aren't such a big problem there because they do check a lot more with things like consent and ensuring that if a volunteer is there or a student is there, that the patients are, or women are, okay with that. Another way you can get midwifery related work experience is through study days. Now, I actually attended an incredible study day with the Yorkshire Storks, who are based in York, and it was just so fascinating. And I have to say, I think study days are a great way of learning, but also having a more relaxed and enjoyable way of sort of understanding the role of a midwife and learning. And I'm really grateful because I have to say, I think at study days they really sort of empower you and like really spark that passion off, which to be fair, all of my work experience has. But I think study days are just probably one of my favourite ways because they're usually quite small and specific, so they're really good. I mean, I went to one on the physiology of birth and breastfeeding, which was something I found really interesting, but there's other companies that focus on different aspects, so things like hypnobirthing or bereavement, and I think if there's specific areas you're really interested in as well, they're really good to go along to. So that's just a quick look at midwifery related work experience, but of course there's tons of different ways you can get work experience, which you can always relate back to the attributes that a midwife should have. So examples of this are things like working in a care home, so you're still getting an understanding of working in a caring environment or with people who are vulnerable perhaps, and it's really important to look at what you gain from all of your experiences. So even if, say, you worked in retail, you could say you have really good interpersonal skills, it taught you about professionalism, and really making sure you understand what you gain from your work experience is more important than the type of work experience, or just as important as the type of work experience you have, because you know, getting midwifery related work experience is really difficult, and universities tend to understand that, and a lot of universities, when I went to open days, explicitly said that they understand and don't expect everybody to be able to get midwifery related work experience because it is so difficult. Some do like to have some, but like I said, it's really important to check with the universities you're thinking of applying to see what kind of work experience they're looking for. But really, I think making sure you understand what you gain from your work experience is probably one of the most important things. And lastly, I think it's really easy to think, oh, this work experience I'm going to do so it looks really good on my personal statement and really makes me stand out, but at the end of the day, it should be something that you do because you really want to do it, and it's going to be something you enjoy and feel like not only you gain something from it, but something where you feel like you can help others. And I think that's also really important, because it's okay to say, oh, I've done this and I've done that, but if you've not gained much from it, then it's not so beneficial. But I think there's quite a lot of pressure on people to do different types of work experience that can sometimes seem or be quite extravagant and intimidating, but honestly, it's what you gain from your work experience that's the most important thing. So I think that pretty much sums up how you can get work experience and the different types of work experience, and as well as how to approach universities and make sure you are getting the right kind and amount of work experience that the universities you want to apply for are sort of asking for. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and I know it's been quite brief, but I can't wait to see you all next week, and I'll see you soon. Bye!